Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's live webinar on the topic of business plan basics. I would like to welcome everyone who has just signed on, so thank you for joining us. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, please type your questions into the chat box, and we will pull up those questions at the end of the presentation. And I'll bring up those questions and read them out loud, or we'll share them in the training app or the presentation afterwards. So again, welcome everyone for joining us. The topic is business plan basics, presented by DaVatrice Lindsey, attorney at law from the Neighborhood Entrepreneurial Law Project at the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County. So thank you, welcome DaVatrice for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mario. I greatly appreciate it. As he stated, I am the attorney for the Neighborhood Entrepreneurial Law Project, known as NELP. It launched in 2018. And just to give you a little bit of background about it, next slide, please. There we go. It's for individuals and for-profit small businesses. We provide residents of the Palm Beach County area the tools and knowledge to be successful in starting and or owning their small business. We also supply limited financial assistance for business registration, logo design, home occupation affidavit, and more for eligible applicants only. And we furnish webinars and podcasts regarding important business topics, such as the topic on the slide, remote work, the new norm. You can check it out on our SoundCloud account. Next slide, please. So what I'll be covering today is the business plan contents. That includes the executive summary, the company, business philosophy, industry description, company strengths, legal form, product and services, marketing plan, operational plan, management team, personal financial statement, startup expenses, and financial plan. Next slide, please. All right, let's get into the executive summary. So this section should include an overview of the company, products, and services. It should answer questions such as, what will be your primary product or service? Who is your target audience? Who are the owners? What are the finer details of the industry? And what is the market size? The executive summary should be concise, precise, and complete. If you are using the business plan to apply for a loan, make sure that you include how the money will be used. Next slide, please. Moving into company goals. So in this section, your goals for both short-term and long-term should be included. This shows others what you are hoping to accomplish over a particular period of time. Next slide, please. Next, we're moving into the business philosophy. So you want to answer the questions here in this section as far as what is most important to your business? What is your philosophy for achieving success? You need to clarify your philosophy as it gives others a clear idea of the direction you're taking the company. Next slide, please. Okay, industry description. So in this section, you want to answer the questions of, what is the history of the industry? Is it growing? Who are the primary competitors? How will you position the company to overcome the competition? It is very imperative to show your knowledge of the industry that you are joining. Next slide, please. So company strengths. In this section, this is the place where you discuss what sets your company apart from others. You want to answer questions such as, what are the strengths of the company? What are the strengths of the owners? What background experience and knowledge do you bring to the company? And how will the strengths fit in the market? Next slide, please. Okay, this is a very important segment of the business plan, the legal form. So this should include one of the following: Basically, it should include what type of legal business structure you're forming. I'm going to go over the sole proprietor, partnership, corporation, or limited liability company, also known as an LLC. Also make note of why you selected a particular legal form of ownership. All right, let's start with sole proprietorship. This is an unincorporated business owned and ran by one individual with no distinction between the business and you, the owner. Next, moving into partnership. A partnership is a single business where two or more people share ownership. Each partner contributes to all aspects of the business. This includes money, property, labor, or skill. In return, each partner shares in the profits and losses of the business. Now moving to the LLC. This is the most popular business structure. What it is a hybrid type of legal structure that provides the limited liability features of a corporation and the tax efficiencies and operational flexibility of a partnership. Lastly, the corporation. A corporation, sometimes referred to as a C Corp, is an independent legal entity owned by shareholders. This means that the corporation itself, not the shareholders that own it, are held legally liable for the actions and debts the business incurs. Next slide, please. For the products and services section of your business plan, you want to use this section to describe in depth the products and/or services the company will offer. This can include a variety of additional information, such as technical specifications, illustrations, photos, marketing and sales material, and market research. Make sure you include information on why the products and/or services are better than what is already on the market. This can include factors such as quality, price, and unique features. Other information for this section includes pricing structure, fees, competitive advantages and disadvantages, and product comparison. Next slide, please. Okay, moving into the marketing plan. Due to the depth of this section, most companies create a separate business plan and marketing plan, and that's what we explain to our clients, and we do suggest as well. However, it is still important to include an abridged version of the marketing plan in your business plan. It doesn't matter what your products or services bring to a particular market, you cannot succeed unless others know about it. This all begins with a detailed marketing plan backed up by an in-depth research. So what I'll go over is the market research, economics, customers, competition, and strategy. For the market research, you have both primary research and secondary research. With primary research, you gather and present your own data. With secondary research, you rely on published information, such as from industry journals, trade magazines, census data, and online studies. Next slide, please. Or excuse me, you can keep it here, I'm sorry. You can go back to marketing, I'm sorry about that. There's so much to cover for marketing. I'll stay on this slide for a while. For economics, you want to focus on the points of market size, current demand within target market, primary competitors, including market share, growth potential, and barriers to entry. Now we're going to go over customers. For customers, identify your target customer. So you want to include their location, characteristics, and buying habits. For each group, you must create a demographic profile that includes age, gender, location, income, occupation, education, and any other details that are specific to the industry. Now moving on to a very important portion of the marketing plan, competition. So for this segment, you want to answer these two primary questions. You want to answer what products and/or services will provide competition. You also want to answer which companies will provide competition. And I usually recommend listing at least 3. So for that portion, you want to list products and service types. You also want to list major competitors, including names and addresses. Overall, discuss how and why your products and services compare with the competitors detailed above. And lastly, I'll go over strategy. As the name implies, this discusses how you will market your products and services. This section can include promotions, advertising, budget, and marketing methods at different stages of the company, such as startup versus growth and more. All right, now we can move to the next slide, please. Let's get into the operational plan. This is an opportunity to discuss the day-to-day operation of the business, including employees, processes, location, equipment, and other related details. Your operational plan should focus on these details. So I'll go over production, location, legalities, personnel, inventory, and suppliers. For production, this is how and where your products and or services are produced. In regards to location, this is a type of building, amount of space required, and if all employees will work on site. Legalities refer to permits, zoning, licensing, industry regulations, insurance coverage, trademarks, patents, and copyrights. Personnel is regarding the number of employees, the type of employees, existing staff, pay structure, employee responsibilities, and the use of contractors/freelancers. Inventory is regarding the type of inventory, the cost of that inventory, the rate of turnover, and lead time for ordering. Lastly, suppliers is regarding list of key suppliers, including type, responsibilities, pricing, and history. Next slide, please. Okay, let's get into the management team. So in this section, you should address all details associated with the management team, such as the responsibilities of each person or each member of the management team, the experience and knowledge of each person, the plan if one or more member of the management team leaves the company as well. If the company has multiple members of the management team, create an organizational chart explaining the responsibility of each person. You can also list supporting individuals, which can include board of directors, advisory board, accountant, legal team, insurance agent, banker, mentors, and consultants. Next slide, please. Okay, moving into the personal financial statement. Each owner and stockholder should supply personal financial statements showing a list of assets and liabilities outside of the business. This should also include his or her net worth. Since owners often use personal assets to finance a business, this shows how much money each person can provide. Next slide, please. Okay, startup expenses. Even before you open your doors for business, you will face a variety of expenses. It is essential to estimate these expenses, including the source of funding. Due to the tendency to overspend, every business should add a line of contingencies. If you spend the money, you have already accounted for it. If you don't, you'll be left with an excess of cash. So keep in mind that your contingency amount should be 10 to 20% of your total startup expenses. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's go over the financial plan. The financial plan should include the following: the 12-month profit and loss projection, 5-year profit and loss projection, cash flow projection, projected balance sheet, and break-even calculation. While there is no guarantee that these things will go as planned, this will help estimate the financial future of your company. And just like your business plan overall, you will revisit this portion of your business plan as well, just to tweak it accordingly. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that this webinar was very informative and helpful. Are there any questions at this time?
if you'd like to unmute your microphone, I'm going to give you a chance so you can also, in addition to typing the question in the chat box in the control panel, you can also ask DaVatrice the questions by unmuting your microphone. So thank you for joining us and being able to have this presentation. Now, this session is recorded, so if anybody wants to review the information that DaVatrice Lindsey had just provided, it will be available through our social media at Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County. And so if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank DaVatrice for a wonderful, informative presentation. Thank you all for being here, taking this moment in time to learn something, information about business plan strategies and tips to how to start that. So thank you all. Thanks for all for joining us, and we'll see you the next time. Oh, we do have a question that just came in. Thank you. Oh, thank you again. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Have a wonderful day. And
Thank
stay
you
safe.
as well.